Hi everyone, I am Dr. Oneeka Williams, healer, positivity catalyst, storyteller, and teacher. And thank you for joining me on the Ecosystem series. I am so excited to be back with you. I've been before you 3 times related to ecosystem, and today we're going to be talking about the O in ecosystem. The Williams Integrated Educational Model, which is an ecosystem of learning, is a strategy and construct that I have developed based on the platform of the Dr. Didi Dynamo books, but based primarily on this recognition that we are an ecosystem, that we are linked and interdependent. Our body is an ecosystem, the environment, our earth is an ecosystem, and learning similarly is an ecosystem. In order to optimize our students' and our children's abilities to learn, we have to create an ecosystem that fosters and that encourages and creates the conditions that optimizes their abilities to learn. And it is the recognition that learning is linked and interdependent on so many different things. And the 4 pillars that are germane and critical to an ecosystem of learning is first, creating obviously the intellectual components, which drives the academic rigor and the acquisition of knowledge. The second is the social component, the abilities to connect in community, understanding that none of us is an island, and we, in order to be most healthy, have to have a sense of belonging and a sense of connection in whatever environment we are in. 3 is the emotional component that builds towards those characteristics. Your character builds towards your ability to develop mindsets that empowers you to function in your environment. And so an ecosystem of learning is a learning environment that helps to promote and foster the development of those types of characteristics. And last but not least is none of this is possible if we are physically and physiologically unhealthy. And so an ecosystem of learning recognizes that there is a physical component that has to be addressed, that our bodies need to be fed the appropriate diet, our bodies need to get the appropriate exercise, we need to engage in healthy behaviors that honors and recognizes our physiology and how we are able to conduct ourselves in a way that protects our physiology as best as possible. And so incorporating all of these components into an ecosystem of learning, whether it is in the classroom, whether it is in the workplace, is very, very important. And so I am bringing to you today the O of the eco, which is organization. And really and truly, that's the big umbrella for executive functioning, from being able to set goals. Because any learning environment, in order for our students or employees to be successful, there is a process by which they must work in order to achieve goals, in order to achieve deadlines, in order to be productive in whatever environment you find yourself. You have to be able to function such that you are able to achieve the tasks and goals with which you are assigned. And being able to pull those aspects together to accomplish goals requires the ability to have what we call this executive functioning, which is pretty much your ability to make a plan, to have the cognitive flexibility to be able to shift, to be able to have working memory, which is that you can't get from one step to the next if you don't actually remember what you were doing before. And so these are some of the components of executive functioning that allows you to be able to coordinate information, to set a goal, to follow through, to be able to remember what are the things that you were working with in order to apply them to whatever the plan or whatever the goal is that you have established, and to really be able to conduct your life in a organized way so that you're able to accomplish and achieve goals. And so what does that look like in the classroom? A classroom that supports and encourages executive functions help kids to be able to generate goals, to generate plans, to understand the pieces of this cognitive functioning that is important in their development, to have the different habits, to have the practices, to have processes in place and habits in place that allow children to develop these skills. A classroom that has great organizational structure and great opportunities for kids to develop good executive functioning is a classroom that promotes and helps kids to understand how it is that you are able to sequence activities, how do you set a plan, and how do you go one step to the other to the other. It is a classroom in which kids are engaged, in which they are interacting in order to achieve these goals. It is a classroom that sets actions and consequences, and it helps kids to understand what that means. It's a classroom that feels that all children are deserving of the opportunities to develop these critical skills, and that no child is left behind, that each child in their individuality is identified where they are related to their ability to coordinate, combine, and execute plans, execute goals, execute activities, and then specifically interventions and strategies are used to target those students who may not have those skills in place. What does a classroom look like that does not have children with great executive functioning skills? It's a classroom that seems disorderly. It seems as if there's chaos. There's a lack of engagement. There is an overall lack of progress where children do not meet their full potential. And so you have homework assignments coming in late. You have a lot of absenteeism. You have a lot of kids who are discouraged because they feel, in as much as they would like to do the work, they just don't know how to get it done. Classrooms where kids do not have the full ability to engage in the executive functioning activities to help to move them forward, you see those classrooms not achieving the metrics and the standardized tools that are used to evaluate growth and progress within the classrooms. Many times you will see those are classrooms in which parents and families are disconnected and they are not engaged in their students' learning and their students' development. So what are some of the things that we can do in order to promote executive functioning skills within the classroom? There's some things that I'm sure all of you already know. Planners. Homework planners, calendars that allow you to chart out the month, things that allow you to set goals and have them be visible so that they are able to, you can have checklists where when you achieve and you complete a particular goal that you can then check it off. A planner allows you to sequence activities and then be able to follow through step by step so that you are able to keep track and keep pace. You're able to pace yourself. It allows you to create a schedule and a timetable in terms of how you're going to proceed with your, whatever the goal or whatever the plan for the goal is. It's very important to chunk assignments out in a way that they don't feel insurmountable and they don't seem overwhelming. So classrooms that allow and give kids the opportunities and, quite frankly, direct kids during homework assignments to how do you chunk out and how do you separate out the tasks that make it more achievable, rather than having this huge looming task or assignment that then you can't even get past the first section because it just seems completely undoable. Help kids to break it up into sections, even in the workplace. Come up with a work plan and be able to chunk it into smaller pieces that are much more achievable. Writing is a great way to be able to develop those executive functioning skills, because it allows you to lay the things out before you and to then be able to separate them into those smaller parts. So I would encourage you to be able to get the planners that allow you to separate your tasks, to write them down, and to have a positive attitude that you can do it. There are many resources out there, and we will have a list of those resources available on our website, www.droneekawilliams.com, that will allow you to be able to find those types of resources to help you along your way. There are a ton of other resources out there, coaches and all different types of reading material that just helps you to achieve a planning approach to improving executive functioning skills. I'm extremely thankful that you have joined us today in the O of organization and the ecosystem series, which promotes an ecosystem of learning to help to establish the best opportunity for success, whether it is in the classroom or in the workplace. You can become better organized, you can become a better planner, you can develop the cognitive flexibility and the regulatory components and the working memory to help you to develop the executive functioning skills that you need to be successful. I'm Dr. Oneeka Williams. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.